Should I look for VC funding? What are the pros and cons of venture capital? What are healthcare investors even looking for? Where can I pitch my device to investors? I am joined today by Jeff Rinvelt, partner of Renaissance Venture Capital. Jeff, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Always great to have you here.
It's been a while.
How do you answer this question? You're a VC. Should I look for VC funding? Isn't the answer just definitively yes? Of course you should.
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't?
Yes.
Okay.
There's definitely particular companies that we're looking for. We're looking for companies that actually scale very quickly. Usually they're not manufacturing something. That's why you always see things that are pharma or IT products, because they scale very quickly. They're not creating a product. But things that you're actually creating very quickly that you can sell, multiple repeatable time, basically do it once and then sell it over and over again. Devices are sort of interesting at that's why they sort of straddle this side of it. They're becoming more and more like software. But initially, usually those are not items that we have. The things that we don't see are a lot of times are consulting businesses where you're adding a person, you're adding new revenue. We want things that will scale very quickly, and when you're not even adding new people to your company, that they'll scale that way.
And you can just continue to sell whatever that thing
Correct.
is, a widget. To use the term, we're looking for widgets at some level.
Yep.
Let's be more specific then. Who shouldn't be looking for VC? You mentioned consultants.
Yep. Consultants are usually, again, these are always, items that there are exceptions to the rules, but consultants are usually not, things when you're creating something that's very regional, won't scale very quickly. Again, we're looking for growth rates that happen usually in double digits, usually 3, sometimes triple digits, basically 100% growth, year over year growth. So if you can't look at those growth rates fairly quickly, and also the other ways you can look at it is if you don't have an exit. Basically, if you don't have a way to sort of give money back to the investors very quickly, so that's why we're looking for things that usually IPO or sell to an M&A market. Those are other reasons that you may not be for you if you're trying to create generational wealth or have a company that's basically handed down generation to generation. Those are probably not reasons that you would take venture capital funding.
Wow, so it's really got to be something that you can scale. That there are exit points for the investors along the way. You certainly got to know your market for that. What else are healthcare investors looking for?
They're actually looking for your company. So they are actually buying your company. So there's a lot of times I see pitches that are much more sales focused. So this is sort of a classic thing we see over and over in venture capital is that a pitch deck is selling that product they're selling. They're selling their widget, to go back to your topic, instead of selling their company. I'm not buying your product. I'm buying your company. So you should talk about your marketing team. You should talk about who you are, your exit, prospects for the company, what they're actually getting, what your vision for the company is, not your vision for your widget or your product. I'm not trying to buy your heart valve or your new AI, product tool for healthcare devices. I'm buying your company. So you should be selling the company actually to the VC.
To the VC, not just the product. Well, there's echoes of that even just in the development process, what we see with FDA, because people get very focused on, the product is this thing. Well, the product has to be usable. It has to be something that people can insert into their workflow, and that goes beyond the piece of plastic or the digital device you're selling. And you're saying for an investor, that goes even beyond the box itself and the labeling of the box. That goes to this entire company that's delivering this value that can be repeatably sold again and again and again and scaled.
Yep.
That's really cool. Well, everyone wants to know, where can I go to pitch to investors? How do I get in front of investors?
We actually had that same question over and over again from multiple people. So way back about, I think it's like 10 years ago now, we actually created an event called UnDemo Day. We are actually a fund of funds. So we invest in venture capital firms. So we have as our customers some of, that we invest in venture capital firms. So we had a lot of investors. They would come to town basically to meet with us or for our annual meetings. So they were meeting with companies at the same time. So we started creating UnDemo Day around that. And why it was called UnDemo Day is we saw, again, if you think back 10 years ago, there was all the accelerators, Y Combinator, Techstars. They would have demo days. And demo days are great, but they usually don't get investors. They're usually very, sparkly. They have people on a stage.
Yeah, we did something.
Yes, exactly. Or they'll have the big TED Talks, basically, where people, reveal a great product. investors, again, are buying not your product, they're investing in your company. And usually, again, if you've seen these, these investing, cycle side of things, they don't happen like, like Shark Tank. They are long conversations where you do due diligence on conversations. So UnDemo Day is actually built around making connections between startups and investors. So we have the connection with the investors. We just started opening up basically connections, applications for startups to meet with those startups. Usually twice a year, we get about 500 different meetings. Companies basically get about 7 or 8 meetings. Some only get 1 meeting, but again, it only takes 1 meeting, and it takes that meeting basically go on to another meeting and another meeting that usually goes to investment side.
Wow, and you're bringing all those investors to the table. The startups would be one of the groups that we're looking forward to come to these events every year. Who would be qualified to come to something like this? I know something we've talked about on the show before has been this idea of when you get up in front of investors, especially when those investors are in community, you want to have your act together. You want to be ready for it. This isn't just the person who had an idea in their garage and just wants to talk to somebody, most likely. Who's qualified to come to this?
We like to say it's the full range of startups. So it is basically people that are already pre-seed. Again, you should sort of understand due diligence beforehand. There are community members you can talk to that can tell you sort of if you're ready to meet with investors. But again, we try to make it so it's the full range. Again, these are also meetings that are very quick, so 10, 15 minutes. And sometimes
speed dating kind of.
They are speed dating. And again, if you get 2 or 3 meetings and everybody tells you you're not ready for VC, you're probably not ready for VC, funding side of it. So, but you've only wasted 10, 15 minutes with these side of it. They've self-selected already that they want to talk to you. So if you get no meetings, that also probably is a fairly
tells you something.
It also tells you,
learn from that.
Exactly, side of it. So we're trying to give these signals again, and again, we'll open up applications. This is for startups right now, but we'll also open up registration for our community members. Again, we'll have about 200 different VCs in the room. This is a good way to sort of just talk to people, find out what people are looking for. The community members will be there. Everybody will sort of be out, and this will be a great way to sort of road test your idea and see if you're ready for next time.
So even if we're early stage, that's okay. Like, and if you don't really get the feedback, that's feedback.
Exactly.
Because you're going to give that kind of, you're putting it out to the real market of VCs.
Correct.
That's really cool. So UnDemo Day is happening. I think we've got some data on when it's happening this year. What's the date and what's happening in specifics?
Yeah, so October 11th is the date we're actually having it right now. And why we're taking applications so quickly now, and it's going to actually shut down August 15th. Is because we actually take all those startup applications and run them past the VCs right now. So VCs have double opt-in, to your meeting. So right now is the time that startups, I know it's, seems like a long way away, but we need the startups now to basically make sure that the VCs have double opt-in. If you wait too long, you won't have any meetings with the VCs. So this is your time to apply.
So October 11th.
Yep.
But you've only got till August 16th. To make this happen. So get in there, but no cost to apply or attend.
No cost. Again, we are doing this, it's our best interest to have the best startups in Michigan actually get funded by our VCs. So we want them all to apply. We're going to have all the VCs there. We'll host the event, make sure everybody's there that wants to be there. There's going to be a lot of other things happening that whole week. Michigan Tech Week is going to be happening in that week. We'll have Black Tech Saturdays or Black Tech weekends right after that side of it. So again, we're trying to make that whole week as something fairly interesting. But again, there's that one, half a day. If you're an investor or you're a startup, those are the ones that you really want to have, your meetings with your VCs.
To be there. So get it in by August 15th.
Yep.
We had, I think just a second ago, we had it up on the screen there, the email address, your email address, Jeff, and then we'll put that in the description of YouTube later on so that people can get to it. This is wonderful. I saw something recently. You're gonna tell me whether I got this right or not. But I saw this. It was on MedTech Dive. It was a great article. MedTech Dive has some great stuff. There's a graphic I think we can bring up that was talking about digital health, and of course, digital health. Everyone's talking about it, and then artificial intelligence, like you and I were talking earlier, hot buzzwords, and we temper it and we watch these trends. But I think if we can bring up that histogram that we were seeing a moment ago, the headline. And you told me, hold on, the headline may not be true. Digital health funding reaches lowest level in years. And of course, what we see with this graphic is that actually it looks like it was plateaued before 2020, and it's sort of plateaued again. And there was this big spike in digital health. I'm assuming because of COVID, and everyone said the future is here, but maybe the future wasn't quite as much here. I'm making this up now, Jeff. Tell me what's happening in the digital health market, and what's happening in the VC market in general. What should we expect to see here?
Yeah, it does. I mean, that graph looks bad, but it's sort of a mirror of actually what happened in venture capital, in whole. During COVID, we thought there was going to be a drop down, and there wasn't. Actually, there was a lot of money started going into venture capital.
Wow.
Across the board. And that looks like, I think it's sort of down, from the last one. I think the article actually said it was down sort of like 10 to, 3 to 4%. That actually looks good compared to the total market. The total market actually is down over 13% the last side of it. And then if you compare it to pharma, which is down 40%, this is actually really good. So
pharma's down 40%.
40% basically side of it. So that's even worse, side of it. And that's a lot of because the public markets have sort of shut down. So those IPO markets are gone. So people are putting less money in because they know they can't get the money back as quickly as they were during the IPO markets. So if you look at it compared to that, digital health is one of those shining spots. It's not as shiny as AI. As AI is actually completely up, but it's not as bad as pharma or Web3, which was the whole crypto, side of it. So if you look, and I think it's a little bit of that bleeding from the AI into the digital health, because again, one of the largest applications I see side of it is that, AI is a great application for digital health, and we're seeing, if I had to guess, I think AI is much more of a platform bet than it is, one particular segment that we're going to see.
Is the type of technology we're developing. It's going to permeate everything and beyond MedTech. And just to be clear, I mean, Renaissance Venture Capital, you guys are not MedTech specific. You're very graciously talking about MedTech today, but describe some of the types of funds that you invest in and what they cover.
Yeah. So again, we're one level up from a VC that might be very specific on it. So, they might be only MedTech devices. They might only be, med healthcare. We're actually, funding larger side of things. So again, it's those two big buckets that we had. There's there's MedTech, and then there's also, IT, which are those two big buckets. We also have another bucket, which we have, which is under, advanced materials, which does cover some of these other areas, but also agriculture, which has those two large buckets. But that's sort of, it's, for us, it's usually 40% healthcare, 40% IT, and then 20% those other two devices we have.
That's
other
awesome.
Two markets.
So if you're listening today and you got here through some link, we're talking about MedTech, but UnDemo Day is not just MedTech.
No.
If you are technology, if you're ag, if you're advanced materials, I mean, like, come one, come all.
Exactly. Yes,
and
we'd love to have
those meetings.
Yep, exactly.
That's great. And we'll have the link in the description. Jeff Rinvelt, partner with the Renaissance Venture Capital. Thank you for being here today. And as always, for your support.
Yep.
And if you liked what you heard today, please like and subscribe to help us keep bringing you free MedTech education.